Remember that when I fill out our evaluation?
Yeah. You feel the love, don't you?
I forgot about that.
You can feel the love, can't you?
Now they make a new one, it's called Nifty, it's intranasal. That's what they come up with.
Have you seen it, how it works?
No, it's just brand new.
We watched the World Series.
Market, so I haven't seen it, but it looks just like our Narcan looks
College.
Nifty's in the first fire security.
Yeah,
Later,
they got beat.
yeah.
Is it a one-time thing or is it a multi-use?
It's a one-time
One
thing.
deal?
Yep, just like your.
Just didn't have it this year.
No.
Well,
I didn't realize,
It
I
worked.
mean, I watched them.
In 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes.
Realize what they lost till they got to talking about it. Man, they lost
It's
a
all
bunch of
right. It's all
firepower.
right. That's just my last effort before we took off somewhere. So but she was.
I was gonna hate feeling I hadn't sent it. I haven't thought I had a perish while I looked at it on truck road and Dean happy.
Yeah.
Everything trying to get somebody.
Jason,
I got it
I
later.
got
I
some
saw
laying there.
it. Hours ago. And they already told me she can't buy there, but I didn't see her message 30 hours later. I'm like, oh man, I feel bad.
No, it's all good.
It's really,
Yeah, her motherly instincts kicked in. She took off.
really the three of us.
I was taking Wyatt somewhere else and I passed her, headed down there. We ain't got the bill yet for that. There ain't no telling.
Yeah, Bradley, he was got running a few minutes late, so. He's on his way, he said a couple of minutes, I don't know what that means.
I sent out minutes from the last meeting.
I don't think so. I don't remember printing.
That's bad.
Well, I thought I got something.
I don't remember printing. I usually print them and put it right straight in a folder, and I don't remember doing that.
I'll be every morning.
It could have been one project.
Grants will meet together. The computer, last one, 5, 8.
I don't know, I'll just have to go back.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about this one.
Yes. But they traded them out.
I didn't send the 5, 8 one out. I sent one for 5. I'll send one out. Just say they're approved.
I don't remember what we done. That one,
But, Chris, that was tomorrow. So,
Yeah, I think you're right.
send both of them, just like, just rotate them. Because Brandon doesn't have a console, Larry doesn't have a console, she's got one console.
Well, we gotta look.
That was right before you mean.
Yeah, I've got May 6th was the last one I got.
May 8th, 6:45,
that was the school one. Yeah, that was, because that, we moved it back late because of ball game.
That was about what it was. There will be.
We presented those schools before that budget.
Well, it's just a different types of work. It has the remote head. Yeah, it's the radio. I thought, with macro.
Oh, no.
Everybody running from that crowd, didn't they?
I said, well, I'm not going to.
Well, I seen everybody in the pool, I felt a little bit better about it.
Oh, buddy, sure.
There's Mark.
Steadily costing more money all the time. There's been a bunch on it back, a few years back.
It's just, yeah, it's just a money. God.
There's Marta.
We do. He just pulled up.
Bradley just pulled up.
Wait till he gets on. Jimmy speak?
Not that I know.
Just to have gone there cheering for you.
Have a big time, Mark.
Longer calling.
I hear you. I must have been Oliver Bradley to come in.
They're
If you
cheering.
go to, Jason, if you go, leave keys in my truck. I pulled like, already over here, and I pulled.
It must have been hollering for you. You come in.
They put a belly flop out there, he give him one.
Oh, I thought that was you.
No.
I
I'm
thought
gonna
they,
build a walk tomorrow, do a
thought
belly
they was
flop.
cheering you on, brother.
All right. Great.
Yes, sir, sorry, I'm late.
No, it's all right. Daddy.
What's broke down?
He broke everything last week.
All right, so let's get started. A little bit late, we were just waiting on a quorum to get here, so. 6:06. All right. Agenda really tonight is to approve some budget amendments. I did not send the last minutes out for you guys to approve, to review, so I will do that before the next meeting, and we'll get the minutes approved, but it was a short meeting. I guess we'll start with budget amendments. There was no public comment submitted, so who wants to go first?
Tyler, you gonna knock yours out?
Yeah, I've got several pages.
Brought the school with him, I don't know where he's at.
So the first one you see, listen, they're at the very bottom, they're numbered. It says sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, and sheet 4. Sheet 1 has already been submitted. Like I told Gerald and John to begin with, I had the credit and the debit column transposed, so this is just to clean that up. Make sure that it's done right for the comptroller. And Gerald, that was approved on 5/19.
Both of them were?
Just that first page, that number 1 was 5/19.
Now, the council approved that one too?
Yeah, this one's already been in front of the council, yes, but, like I said, I figured we might wanna just go ahead and resubmit it just to where it's correct. If you look at sheet 2, sheet 2 is reimbursement for the Oak Barrel. We worked, the filming of a commercial for Jack Daniel, the Jack and Back, bike ride, and then the first and second quarter for the THSO grant that we get every year. All of those have been receipted in. All that money has been accounted for on the revenue side. It's just cleaning up the expenditure. If you go to page 3, let's see. You do or don't?
Maybe I do, hang on, maybe that's, all right, I do.
Okay.
You don't have it?
Yeah, I've got one more copy if you need it, Gerald. The lawn session at Jack, that was the concert that happened at Jack Daniel not long ago. That one has been invoiced. I don't know if we've received that one, but it'll come in just the same. The $14.90 there, it says payment reimbursement. We received an invoice twice and we paid it twice. And then we realized the error, called the company, and they sent us a check for that, so that we deposited that check. We just need to redo that line. The extra salary supplement, the state had excess money, and they sent. We get a salary supplement every year for completing 40 hours in service. They did it twice this year. One of them is accounted for in the budget, but this one was not. So this was an overage. We have receipted that in as well. So that's just cleaning up the expenditure. The same thing for that second SRO salary supplement. That's the exact same thing. It's been receipted in as well. Reimbursement for furlough. We had an inmate that requested some type of furlough, and the payment of that overtime and things was pushed off. The family paid that, and they wrote a check for the cost back to the county. So that's what that is. The The next one, that fund balance, 50,000, that's the overage for medical care. I told y'all not too long ago that we had a pretty rough year on inmate medical, and that should get us pretty square. I think that should take care of that line. Do you see anything different on that line?
No, who knows how long bills.
Yeah, and I mean, we've still got 20 days left in the month. Something could happen between now and then. But if it does, I mean, it's just what it is.
We might just roll it to July.
Yeah. The next one down is body cam grant. We applied for and received a federal grant for purchasing new body cams. Shane wrote that grant. It did have a match. We were able to do some of the in-kind donation or in-kind reimbursement for that to reduce that cost. But the next line, the 11,000, is the part of that match that we had to come up with, and we're pulling that out of the drug fund. Next one down, the 5,057. Both of our DVRs in the jail went out at the same time, within 2 weeks of one another. That's replacing both of those. That is coming out of a reserve account, that 40266. That's the litigation tax that's paid through court fines. And then the next one, 4,000, that 44570, that's our equipment fund. That's also a reserve account. That's going to 54110716 for equipment purchases.
Is there a specific, what are you buying?
We've equipped the two cars that we bought with grant money, the one that we bought with the mental health grant money, and then the one we bought with the leftover SRO grant money. It's just the equipment costs going into, this is basically going to be the overage in that 716 line. I think there's 25,000 in it. That's to make sure that the overage is accounted for in that line. The last page, that sheet number 4, the majority of that page is just moving salaries from one line to another to make sure that we're not over on salary lines. Some's being pulled from the deputy line to the overtime line, to holiday line, to overtime line for the jailers, and the holiday line for the jailers. So again, those are just moving from one salary line to another to clean up those overtime and holiday overages. And then there's one that says equipment maintenance. It's 11.5. So when we did the body cam grant, we bought in-car cameras as well, and all of those upload over internet transfer, over Wi-Fi transfer. So we upped the speed of our internet service, and basically every router, every piece of infrastructure inside of our facility was deficient. So we went to gig speed.
Crash everything.
Yeah, well, every one of our network switches were like less than 100 megabytes per second. So when you have multiple things plugged into them, you are throttling the speed so bad that we really couldn't get anything done. There was some camera replacement in that as well. So when we upgraded to the new DVRs, some of the old analog cameras started to fail. So we ended up having to replace like 8 or 10 of those analog cameras over a 6-month period as they would go bad. That's the majority of those two things right there. Let's see. And then, again, there's two more, just like $1,000 moving from one salary line to another, just to ensure that we don't have an overage there. And then the last one is the THSO third quarter grant. So that we'd have to pull that $4,600 out of fund balance, but that would be reimbursed sometime probably in July or August. This quarter doesn't end until June 30, So we can't turn the report in for reimbursement until June 30, so it takes about 30 to 45 days to get that back. But that amount would be coming back into fund balance.
Okay. The equipment, for the jail there, that Wi-Fi and internet equipment, you're saying that's coming out of a reserve account?
Yes, it is. Yep, it's coming out of,
Yeah, the litigation tax.
yeah, litigation tax is what it's
0266,
coming out of.
So it's not hitting your fund balance.
No.
Any other questions for amendments? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make
John? A second? All in favor, say aye. All approved. Any nays? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, you ready?
So you should have two sheets there. The first full sheet is cleaning up the Three Rivers thing that was left over from last time whenever we had that incident at Three Rivers. This is actually collars, whether the patrol cars used to block the road off or not. So basically I charged them the rate for the cars running out there and everything. So that money went back into Tyler's maintenance for to cover that. Next one is just federal grant reimbursement. It's linked to my other one down for the bottom. It's a $91,000 grant. It's tied to the federal. There was talks of it. I've been leaving it in the federal side, just pull it down as I use it to make it easy for our side of tracking. But with everything going on the federal level, it was encouraging me to go ahead and pull that money down so they don't go anywhere else. So I went and pulled that down, and it will go into a reserve account and to be used throughout the time span of that grant for those materials for that.
So that 15.9 comes out of that 91?
No, the 59 already pulled down.
Already pulled?
Yeah, already pulled it down. That's what I spent just this past quarter, or past 2 quarters to cover that. The CPR fees is where we do CPR and we charge those fees, and that goes back into keeping the CPR program running for the community, to where we teach the churches and the community members CPR stuff. That just goes in and replaces supplies and keeps that circulating. It helps pay for our instructors to get recertified. Because actually down at the bottom where it says transfer from reserve account at $1,800 for in-service staff development, that's actually fees that were raised by CPR to go back into pay for our training to cover that and everything. So that's sort of a wash. So we're able to pull money out of reserve accounts to keep that training going without it hitting the fund balance on that stuff for the community. Polecat Training Center, that's where we go out and work for Polecat Training Center. We actually make a little bit of money off that, so we're able to put money back into our vehicle. We use gas, that kind of stuff. We charge a little bit over each time for that one. So
I'm gonna cut Jason off here just a second. Me and him and Tyler, they're the ones that usually deal with this, but we are gonna bring to y'all here for too long. He has got a policy through FEMA.
yeah, FEMA.
We do a good job of collecting the salaries for these events, but we're gonna look at his schedule. We're parking cars with them running with gas, wiring tires, and we're thinking about going to this policy, looking at it to, on these special events, when we blocking and sitting to try to recoup this funds back for some fuel or
Yep.
just, I'm just giving y'all that bug. It just
Yep.
came up. We talked about that a few weeks ago, and we're wanting.
It's not just labor.
Yeah, yeah,
Right now, we're just charging for labor.
yeah.
Besides, like on the Polecat, I started charging them for it since they're private and everything. So I do charge them for the use of the ambulance if it's running or being parked out there. So that way we get reimbursed for the fuel and the wear and tear.
Okay.
So.
Did that Three Rivers, it was just labor?
No, that was actually, the labor's on the first amendment we did in May. I had a lot of Three Rivers on there. I had one line item for the sheet, so I held the sheet to fill it up for this time. So it went with that other three rivers, but they would reimburse the labor, the equipment cost, everything, overtime costs for all the deputies, anybody any money that we had spent for that response to that area was reimbursed by Three Rivers for that tank collapse. Rest of it's the clean up the grant funds for the rest of that sheet, pretty much. And the last one of the things where we start getting into, where I started moving money around to where, like our part-time dispatcher, and moving money around within our payroll items to where we didn't have a full-time dispatcher for a while, so that line item grew where we wore out the part-time line. So those are where we're fixing those things.
You're just moving them between.
Yep. Moving between. The next page is basically the same thing, is trying to clean up the payroll stuff and project what the next, we got 2 more pay periods in 8 days that's gonna hit this budget. 1 pay period's this week, so that's just cleaning up to make sure we got enough in there for the auditors and stuff. That I had enough money in there, pretty sure it's left over without hitting fund balance, but I went ahead and cleaned up the line items so that way they don't show overages for the auditors to look at later. So none of that should hit the fund balance. It should all just be, actually money should go back in fund balance time we're done with everything, unless we just have a lot of EMS calls at 8 o'clock where we generate overtime that I didn't project because it should change and stuff, but, so. Data processing there, at the end there, that's basically covering that. Data processing is where we pay for the billing companies to do the insurance billing. So when collections is up, that line item's up. So if collections is up a little bit, that line's usually up. So that line usually goes, depends on how the collections are, because they get paid based on collections, not actual billing per ticket.
So instead of taking it out of fund balance, you're using that 3,900.
That is
That is fund
Is that
balance.
your fund balance?
Yeah.
That is fund balance, 39,000.
But the patient charges will be over this year. I think, did you look at it lately?
Yeah, it's gonna be over
Yeah.
30 grand, over what is estimated.
Yeah.
So it's not 30, it's 39,000.
Fund balance.
2,900 or 39,000.
Yeah, that top function is coming. Yeah.
All right, 39,000. It should be, mine says
39,000?
39.
39,000.
I love that zero.
Either way. it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what-
I love
E
that.
39 fund balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the zero out.
I got a question. I mean, this is kind of off topic, but on topic. With all this things happening, you know, like incidents of airplanes crashing or bus crashes, how does that, because it covered, if we go out and Patton's our county and we go out to it, are we bill the insurance, they pay us like through FEMA? How does that work? Just
So
curious.
anything like that, small like that, is paid by insurances, auto insurances. We'll take the plane crash for instance, and I mean, a lot of that's gonna be in a legal suit probably, and then it'll go back to the airplane insurance, and it depends on whatever. So all that money gets tied up for a while, and you won't see anything paid on the EMS bill or those helicopter transports for those patients for a little while. So a lot of times, it's hard to project our turnaround on insurance payment based on, so usually 3 months is what we see. So if I picked you up today, it usually takes 3 months for it to hit the insurance cycle and go through the insurance claims. And then if you get pulled for audit and they review it, it's even a little bit longer. And so we don't see the exact amount of, like, if I run 90 calls this month, you're not gonna see that revenue next month. You may see it 3 months down the road, 4 months down the road. And so, the only time FEMA gets involved is if it meets the state, if the state is able to meet their threshold, and that FEMA rate is set so many dollars per capita. So ours is like $30-something thousand worth of damage, so we meet ours pretty easily because we're low, but the state has to meet theirs also. So usually Duck River puts us over, Shannon gets real close to putting us over. We have a pretty good storm with all the highway department cleanup. So usually between Duck River and Shannon, we usually hit our per capita, and we can start reimbursing a lot of that money back into it and everything. I want to say, I got a chart built out, and don't quote me, but I'd say the last 3 or 4 years, we've probably gotten about $400-something thousand or more back from FEMA just on grants. I think last one, Shannon, 30-something thousand for you, I think. Chuck's here. 30-something. 100 on that last one, everything. So we do pretty good. We try to take advantage of it every time we get a chance when the state gets something like that, to where they declare to get the money back to refund the highway department's expenses to clean up all the trees. Does that answer your question?
It does. I was just curious.
Curious, how's that money get?
I mean, going along with the billing too, of how you're talking about billing on the other plane.
That would be more for
whatever.
the private stuff. So if you had an event, that's where that would kick in for the private billing and stuff that's outside of that. So like So we got to put on standby for the airplane crash, but if we went to it, that would just be covered underneath our state mutual aid agreements between counties. When they have a mass casualty, that plan would have been enacted in our region. And so that's where all the counties come together to take care of it, and then they figure out the billing part later and figure out that part of who gets that next one. Yeah.
And we had that happen in Mulberry.
Yep.
We had a plane crash in Mulberry 10 years ago.
Probably, I think so, yeah.
One the other day at the airport in Tullahoma, wasn't it? Or was that it?
No, it was in Tellum City. It was right there at the Beechcraft Museum,
Yeah.
right there close to 130.
That was close to
It was
Yeah.
getting close,
Yeah,
yeah.
down here, what, about a
Yeah.
mile off the line as well?
Yep.
All right, any questions for Jason? Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Marty, second. All approved? Say aye. Any nays? All right.
Gerald, while Chad's coming, there is a utility budget there. They're having their meeting tonight, so I guess you can just go ahead and send their amendments on to, you know.
Is it here?
Mm-hmm.
Who's supposed to talk?
That's what I said, they're having theirs tonight, so we're just gonna have to
Do it later?
do it, or send it on to, it's in the package coming up for Monday.
All right.
Well, I'm coming.
Huh?
I was just letting you know I was here.
Yeah, I saw you. I meant to say, well, you was coming forward, so excuse me, yeah.
I didn't know if I
Is
was.
this, what's this one here? That's mine. You wanna go through that one?
It don't matter, Chad's here, he's got,
All right, Ted.
I meant to say, come on down like the price is right.
I didn't think it was something coming in.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna be here early and I was late.
I got it.
So most of this is just clean up. A few lines that we had to spend more than we budgeted, and taking money out of lines that we didn't have to spend all that. And I can go through them as much as you want or wait and answer questions. On the first page though, I'll point out, if you go down to 4,600 or 46,000 under state of Tennessee, the 46,590 other state education funds. The summer school grant is in that, some outcomes funding. Then, of course, the paid parental leave was not budgeted for. The whole section is items that were not in my budget. And then the Innovative School Models Grant, there's still quite a bit of money in that grant to draw down. We've got 2 years left to complete that, but this year we will have drawn down $79,800. And then I have not budgeted any of the line for beer tax, but I noticed in our revenues that money was there. And then the top one, I think I skipped, TISA on behalf payments. That's just a flow through. When our kids they're required in their junior year to take the ACT, the state pays it. I was told this year I'm supposed to show it in my budget, so that $11,568 also shows up as an expense, but it's not money that even came through our books. So on revenues then.
Hang on just a minute, that 46,590, you said that was for what?
Summer school.
Summer school.
There's summer school money and some outcomes funding based on our test scores from the previous year. We can't predict those. In talking with Mary Ann Dursky, she says, don't even budget it. That when you get it, it'll be a bonus to you. But from one year to the next, we can't predict if it's going to be zero.
Pretty good number.
Yeah, last year we got, 113,000 of that is the summer school grant.
Oh,
Last year it was about 89,000, this year it's about 79 for the outcomes funding. So that, if you go down to the bottom of revenues then, we 285,750 above what we predicted, but now understand that most of that money's earmarked through those state grants to go in certain places. And so in the expenditure lines all the way through here, I've only included the lines that have made changes in. For our teachers line, I was able to reduce that by 54,000. We've had a number of teachers this year out without sick leave built up. One in particular was out most of the school year without pay. And I don't know any of these lines that you want to go through and talk about. The big increase there in educational assistance. That's summer school funds that have been put into that line for summer school assistance. Same thing with with the other salary and wages there, 189. We have a number of non-faculty coaches now, and they still receive a portion, like 80% of the supplement that a teacher would receive in that role. Instead of, so what really I pulled out of the 116 line, where most of the coaches would be paid out of, and moved that into 189. Other salaries and wages there. So that's the biggest part of that increase there. We didn't have to have a certified substitute this year, so I was able to pull that out. Non-certified subs, I'm going to tell you, 80,000 is what I budget, and I'm normally having to add money to that line each year. And this year I was able to remove some, and it's simply because of the lack of subs, not the lack of need for subs, just the lack of people willing to serve in that role. That's a tough one. I would encourage anybody who wanted to know what goes on in the school building to come and see
I'd rather be a bus driver.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It's good, there's,
Yeah.
And then throughout this, in my pensions lines, I've got to get a closer budget on that. Anybody that we hired new since 2014, I think was when it started, comes in under the new retirement plan, where we have to match 9%, a little over 9%, for those people's retirements, where if they're under the legacy plan, which the old people like me still are, that's 5.8% right now. And so I've got to make some adjustments because I've had to go through this year and add money to those lines.
That's not the legacy plan, you said? What's the name of
The
it?
legacy plan is the 5.77.
Yeah, what's the other one?
The other one they call the hybrid.
Oh,
Then,
9% match on the hybrid. No one did.
okay. Is that something y'all decide, or is that a set?
That's state. And I'm pretty sure it's 2014. If it wasn't 14, it was 15, right in there, that they introduced the hybrid plan. And so, and there's another line in some of these retirement hybrid stabilization. So you have to have some funds in that line too for everybody that's in the hybrid plan. So they really count in both of those lines. So medical insurance, when people change, medical runs starts in January, so people change from one plan to another halfway through the year, causes us to have to make adjustments at times.
Your medical coverage, is it, remind me what that is, it 70%? We pay 70% or?
No, ours is a little different. We, if you choose a single plan under the standard plan, we pay 100%. But when you add family members to it, that's when we pay the 100% for you and then split the difference. So the higher you go up, the more you pay. So when you get to the family plan, we're spending a lot less than the way we used to do it on the 80-20 split. So it's a little different. And I have run the numbers. If we went back to the 80-20 split, it would cost us over $80,000 this year with paying 80% of the family plan. So I can tell you that with the beginning of the year with our cash flow, and we were afraid we were going to have one of those, what do you call them? trans. I really held back, especially the first half of the year, on things that we normally would have purchased. And so I held that through the year. And we still need student desks replaced, and cafeteria tables replaced, and things like that. I can go through each one of these. I can tell you, in most of the lines where if I did not have anything budgeted, that either belongs to summer school or the instructional innovative school models grant that came in. Because I did, the way those grants work, especially the $1 million CTE grant, the innovative schools model, is once we've made the purchase, we send that information to the state and they reimburse. And so they didn't drop the full amount into our bank account. We just pour it as we need it or as we're spending it. And so I can't budget those lines. And then one that's odd towards the back is the food service. It's on the very last page. 73100 food service. That is all summer camp, breakfast and lunch. And so that's all coming from that state grant for the summer camps. And again, those are not in our budget for next year either. When the allotment comes in and we get a budget put together, approved by the state, that's when that money would drop into those lines there. So I'll skip down to the bottom. Our total estimated expenditures, we spent $86,427 less than we had budgeted. There. But I'll be glad to go through any one of these other lines that you might have questions on.
I guess the one that's over is a vocational education program. Looks like, I mean, I may be reading that wrong, but that one looks like 105K.
What's that?
No. 71150, it's above that one. No, I'm looking at the wrong one, I'm sorry. 72,000 support services, it's a section above that.
Okay. That's where most of that innovative schools model grant comes in. If you look at 429 through 730, all of that is there. And with that grant, and the way we do with just about all of our grants that we can, we're looking at buying equipment for our current CTE teachers. We've got plans to rebuild our greenhouse that we didn't get replaced in the remodel. But all of those are from that CTE grant there.
So you don't budget for that?
No, that's where, as they go through that, she has to have a budget, and LaShonda Hill's the one that works on this. She has to have a budget approved by the state each year for that money that's been set aside for us. And then as she goes, it's a reimbursement. So we make the purchase, and then we have to upload our invoices to them, showing them that we've received the items and all those things that go along with this budget, and then they send us the money. So I don't budget from the beginning, because like the greenhouse, we were gonna start it last year, and we still haven't been able to get it going. So we haven't drawn down the money for the greenhouse, so it can show up here.
I guess that money though from that grant doesn't show up in the revenue side or?
It does, it's in that first line that I talked about, or that first section.
182,000.
No, in the 46,790 innovative school models. It's got its own line there.
You just pull, but is it money somewhere else too? Because you say you just pull down some amount from that, so.
Right. It's like the state has the
Okay, they have
$1 million, and we pulled, this year, we pulled 79,800 from that.
Do they tell you how much you get, or?
It's $1 million, and we had 4 years to
Oh,
spend it,
okay.
and we've added on.
Okay.
So we had, this was part of our budget amendment last year too. I can't remember how much we pulled down last year.
So this is something that will go away,
It
or?
will, and that's why we're not hiring people. We're making purchases and not creating reoccurring expenses.
I guess, I mean, did Beat a Dead Horse is the first time they ever did that, or?
Yes. It was one of the governor's initiatives that didn't come through. You know, the CTE program is normally a federal program, the educational program is, but this was something that the governor put in his budget. So we had to fight a little bit because the way it was passed was $1 million for every high school. But then when they started handing it out, it was like, oh, you only get half of that. So that's not what it said.
Yeah.
So there was some arguments back and forth.
That's when you got on the email with the reps, right?
Right.
So in terms of budget, revenue is, you're budgeting 280, your amendment is 285 more than on the revenue side and 86K less on spending. So do I have a motion to approve the amendment? Are there any more questions?
Come in at $86,000 under, so I'll make the motion to approve.
All right. Got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Nays? Any nays? All right. Hey, yeah, I had a question that I'll just ask you. On this TISA funding thing we've been talking about, are we asking for a one-time correction, or is this a
It would just be one time.
one-time?
For that school year, we kind of got left high and dry that year, when they swapped back to the DEP. So that would be if that ever happens, and I'm still not.
Yeah, we're not either, but
optimistic.
I'm just making,
But it
I
would
guess
be
I
a
didn't understand what we
one-time.
were asking for.
Yeah, it would be a one-time.
One-time deal.
And, you know, we set our budget based on this amount, and after the budget was set, they changed it to this amount. And so the difference in between is what we took out of fund balance. And what we're asking for is them to replace that and go back to what they had originally told us our budget would be, or income would be. And so, I mean, I know y'all don't want to hear this, but I got a building at the high school that's fixing to have a new roof. And the vocational building in the back wasn't included in the re-roofing when we did the remodel. And we got some serious paving issues that we're putting off because when we got bids on it, it was a lot more than what I expected.
Lincoln paving donation.
So, I was hoping if we could get that, we could have those two things taken care of out of non-recurring funds.
Okay. All right, anything else? Good?
Just, I'll have something for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll put it right quick. First, solid waste,
Okay.
part-time. You look at a lot of these are the salaries there. And I wrote down there, Clay is staying open on a lot of holidays and working just to stay ahead of the game, like especially but he's using a lot of part-time help instead of full-time to stay away. But he says it's easier to work a lot of these holidays than it is to take off and get slammed. Plus they have to come in and track the nursing home and Woodard's and you know, just trying to catch them up instead of letting them sit there for what we actually call, they are holidays, you know, but he really don't take but about 4 or 5 actual days off out of the 13. So it does eat his part-time up and then on his holiday as well. So there's gonna be probably some money left over in some of those salary lines, but I'm not gonna swap them around and nitpick, because it's gonna roll back in fund balance. We don't spend it anyway. We got hit pretty hard with some, look down there just a little piece, the equipment. We busted a canister for the compactor that wasn't expected, but we had to purchase one of them. Wasn't expecting that one, but that's the nature of the beast when it comes to this equipment. So, but the changing of the, when we up the home pickup rates and so forth, it's added about $1,800 a month into revenue. The other day, our fund balance in there was sitting around $240,000, so it is up due to that, which is a good thing, 'cause anytime you got that equipment, it don't take one breakdown, the new truck is in, so.
That's gonna ask you, new truck.
Yeah, we got it, and that took a lot of pressure off the others, and we got that other surplus to get rid of in the next few months or something. Like I said, that's a lot of it is on the maintenance and repairs and the equipment, because of, like I said, there's probably gonna be some lines left over in fuel and vehicle maintenance and maybe even in the landfill bill. So, but I'm not gonna swap money around because we still got 20 days left. But like I said, our fund balance is actually up in it. So that's kind of what the solid waste end is. But it's, like I said, it's doing pretty good for what it is. He's selling a lot of recycles, and he's doing a good job of keeping that going. And he waits and bids until it gets the markets up to sell it. So. As long as that fund balance, that stays more important to me than anything, keeping that trial balance money in there. So next is capital projects. That's just the lawnmowers that I guess that was last month, wasn't it? Meeting. It's at ARPA. It's not taxes. It's ARPA money that we do amendment on them. Then next is going to be county general, and the first ones are mine. That's where I kind of, like I said, in office supplies and dues and memberships. I end up having to buy checks, purchase orders. It's for every department, but I usually just put them right in there because that but everybody, every department uses the purchase orders, checks, so forth and so on. But I just eat them in that line. You can tell it's not very bad. Jumping on down in the next, and it's going to be the election workers. And if you look, I hit the fund balance a lot on it because really a lot of that money came in from last March. We were reimbursed back a lot from the presidential stuff, but it was actually in last year's budget and not this time around. So that money's already been accounted for on the revenue side. Then this next year we'll have elections coming. Really after July 1st, but part of it will start before the June 30th, getting the ballots and all that good stuff in there. So a lot of those elections are what, like I said, that's what those are. Then there's a fire department grant on the very bottom. That was the fire marshal's grant. And on that second page, the first in agriculture is the longevity pay in it. It comes out of one of their salary lines because they're running short. We haven't got it fully staffed because we've had them leave, and it's 6 months before you get a new one in. So, but Brenda's been there on her years, so there's going to be money left in that agriculture line. And the next one's our favorite swimming pool, but it's a nightmare. But if you look, it's attendance, but go out back and see. But the water, electricity, and the maintenance and all is okay. It's just the attendance and lifeguards money's way up. But it's kind of offset by the recreation. They've done a good job of pool parties and try to offset some of the. And in the chemicals. We've done a little something different this year. We usually let it frog grow in it all the way up till spring and start. But this year, Barry just decided, last year when he closed it, he just kept throwing the chlorine to it till it got freezing. Then when it warmed up this spring, spring, he started back on chlorine, so instead of taking about 3 weeks to get it going, it took about 10 days. So, but he just put a lot more chemicals in it throughout the year instead of waiting till the last, you know, so, but anyway. Yeah, but the maintenance, like I said, there's still maintenance money that'll, you know, it'll really cover it in the end. Like I said, I took it out of some of the equipment lines, and then, the very last one is Tammy's Chancery Court. She had to have a new computer system like always, but it's a reserve. It shows fund balance, but it also, if you look right below it, she's got a reserve account for the Chancery Court that she pulled that to make that difference up. So that's really the highlights of them. If you got anything, holler at, let me know. Like I said, we still got 20 days left, so.
Is that fire marshal grant, we didn't talk about that one, is that coming out of fund balance?
It shows fund balance, but it's gonna be a revenue code estate grant.
About 46.
Yeah, but it's still gonna hit, they'll hit both places in the books on that.
So was it 31.5?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's not really fund balance.
No, it'll wash out with that grant, so.
Any other questions?
Like I said, we've already done a bunch of them over the time, but we hope nothing happens in 20 days. I told Clay not to turn that up after the convenience center. We had $11,000 backhoe bill the other day, so that wasn't injector pump and, I forgot what now, but man, they like them Caterpillars coming, buddy. Randy, you know what I mean?
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Second. Marty second. All approved, say aye. No, any negative? All right. What else we got?
Now, what brought the crowd in is John, Gerald, y'all set through. I know it's a terrible timing, but we can't do anything about that, and I wrote you just a little paragraph. The retirement that's been going on for what, y'all tell me, 3 years, 4 years? They finally sent us a report, schedule, whatever, however you want to call it. It came in a week ago. I know, John, you was in one day, Gerald, you was in one day. It's not cheap, but we felt like, and it's the departments that, you know, we owe it to bring it before y'all and for the employees, because they've been on this for 3 or 4 years, and meeting with them and so forth. I feel like that it's gonna take 10 cents to fund it. It'll take 6 new cents, moving 4 cents out of debt service, and this all goes to county general to cover county general, highway, solid waste, what I leave out, utility. It has to come through one department. Now, those other departments will be sending money over as well. But to make this pass through the comptroller, if it goes, we have to show solid money, and that's taxes. We can't use a donation or a contribution or other revenues, because they won't honor it, because you don't know whether you're gonna get a check or, you know what I'm saying. So they're gonna only look at tax dollars. The county's looking at putting in either $1 million or $1.5 million on it. And like you said, if on page 2 right there, if you look right in the middle of the 522, or 523, excuse me, or the 455, that's what a 10-year amortization schedule would look like. It's not gonna change a whole lot, so that's the reason I say a dime at 50,000 is gonna get you in the ballpark of the amortization schedule with putting $1 million down, or the $1.5 million would be at 455. That's kind of where that's fully vested on the employees. It's about $4.8 million buyback. The year one is the killer, because that's where you got to get the funds put in. Because if you have these people that up and retire, you gotta have those funds up front to pay their retirement. Well, then as it goes along, and I talked to John about this today, you have that influx of that retirement people right off the bat. You're gonna have to pay. Well, as year 2 and 3, you may have 1 or you may have 2, you could have 0, but you're still gonna have to pay the amortization money in. What that's gonna draw is gonna make your pool, it's gonna be an asset. Instead of a 10-year amortization, you might go to a 9 as these funds build up. So you're really not gonna be able to cut anything out of the amortization. It's gonna be there. On the second hand, each year, the county would pay about $190,000 out of the fund, out of their budget. We're already budgeted, our departments, this is one of the departments that already budgeted. So we've already pretty well got that money budgeted. On the second thing, it's just one of these that the employees, a lot of them are in favor, but they may sacrifice, and a lot of them have said, hey, we'll take the raise if you can get us into TCRS. County General alone would probably be $75,000 or $80,000 worth of savings with taking out the raise. Shannon, would you know what?
I don't know the numbers.
Okay, well, you know, I was just looking on my end, if you took that away and went TCRS, that would, you would be saving that. You know, it's kind of a give and take. But I think the TCRS would be beneficial down the road. You know, we're talking about retaining employees. I think it would, but on the other hand, it's still gonna take tax dollars to pay for it. But I know the timing is not good. This wouldn't go in now till January 1st. Which would be in the middle of tax season. Then if it had to revisit next spring, it would be the following January before it would go in effect, is my understanding of the way it is. So I know that's a quick presentation, but I know, John, you've spent a lot of visiting with us. Gerald, you have too.
Yeah.
How you feel about the 4 cents coming out of debt service? Good for a little while.
My thinking is on it is, we're good. We got about $2.5 million sitting in it right now. We're not going to kill our fund balance if we, with this year's payment, you take the 4 cents out, that's 200, more around 50. You know, that's about 200,000. It's still going to leave it, you know, 225 or 23 roughly. If the revenue does come in, keeps, you know, we need to stay above 2 million. The thing, John, I would say on this is if you wanted to move this 4 cents by any chance, the council's gonna have to put in some of these minutes. If it's gotta come back, it's gotta come back. That makes sense. You have to, in a year, replenish that fund, it would have to come back. But as far as now, it can withstand it. One of the things I went and done the other day, if y'all remember, we get, there's $250,000 in the budget as a contribution from Jack Daniel. It used to be bottle sales. I went to Jack Daniel the other day and met with them, and I said, look, I'm not asking for anything except I want to know. 6, 8 years ago, they talked about pulling that money out. And I said, I'm not asking for anything, but I just want to know up front, y'all not going to plan on pulling this out in the next few years. You know, because it would really make tough. And Melvin, the general manager, was very supportive and said, no, as long as I'm sitting in the chair, he said, I think it's a win-win for the county. So, you know, I just wanted to touch base with him before. I didn't want another one of them surprises to come back around. But anyway, that's just, but like I said, those contributions you can't count. You know, it's got to be based on that. I can't say, and that's what I told him, you know, I said, I can't, even if I went up there and said, hey, we're gonna take this $250,000 out of a debt service, it's y'all's contribution to put over here, comptroller's probably not gonna say, we can't honor that. It's gotta be tax-based driven, so.
Can you use it? Even after?
It's sitting over in debt service, just like it is.
Okay.
It's fine.
That's fine.
You know, it is fine right there.
So what do they contribute to? What
What's
does
that?
the employees contribute to?
Well, they will be matching their 5%, correct? Out of their check would go for their 5% to match their TCR. Yes. The other contribution, like I said, if they surrender the 3, or if we decided to surrender the 3% raise, those dollars that are budgeted would fall back into county general, highway, solid waste, so forth, to the fund balance would grow. Your fund balance, overall fund balance would grow, but whatever that percentage, whatever that percentage dollar amount from the employees went back into the budget. Now, this is for full-time. It's not anything dealing with part-timers. It is full-time only. Does that answer your question, Marty?
What does it match?
What's the match, Tyler, on your calculator? They do the 5%. They would put in the 5.
Employees
Or
require
base.
to pay 5%. The annual rate is, they send us the annual rate, they put it before you.
Yeah.
It was like 5.78.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. You've already approved that, and that was the same as the elected
Second
official
elected
rate.
officials.
It's not this 9%
No,
that we talked about
no,
earlier.
no. Yeah, Tyler had his calculator out the other day, that's the reason he was doing computing while we were on the phone. I know the timing is not great, but anyway, there's no way we could have sat back and just ignored it.
Worth how many years? Forever.
But it's tax-based driven, I'm not gonna tell you no different. We were hoping for less than 5, but,
Was it
Have
voted
they-
in 1978? Never was voted in, elected officials already received TCIS, whatever it is.
I think that was actually school systems was 78, I believe, I'm not sure about the
Elected
election.
officials.
You know that, I believe the schools was in the 70s as well, I think.
I won't even more.
I wasn't either.
Did they answer these questions down here?
Yeah, that's where we come, those are our questions that we sent in to them.
Yeah. Everybody's got enrolled.
Yeah.
So they're giving up the raise this year?
That's one of the things that we've discussed with them. They may,
Your numbers, does it include them not getting the 3% this year? So
that number right there, without the 3%, is still, I don't think you can take the dime off the board this year.
that's 10 cents more than what we've already got.
Well, actually, it'd be 6 more.
Plus 4.
You would pay that, you change your tax levy, yes.
Is there any, 1.5 million lump sum? I know we're saving some for the jail, right? Was there a phase 2?
We've looked at some of the phase 2, and then we've also got a report coming Monday night on what he's learning from the last month's report with all that as well. And you know, we had looked at some phase 2 in it, kind of as a package. He got some stuff in from OLG the other day. But we're not trying, the 1.5, we're not trying to deplete all of our cash, you know what I'm saying? So that's one reason we were looking at the 1 million to put down. Then we would have $500,000 to put on the first year amortization to build that pool. Or you can go with the 1.5 and drop it to the 455,000. It's still gonna be about the same number of pennies in the long run. But
gotta build.
But you gotta build your pot. That's, the amortization is gonna be on 10 years. But if you get your pot built up and nobody retires for 2 or 3 years, that money rolls back into an asset. Would you take it out? Probably not. To me, you just keep rolling and let your amortization start backing off, Now, that's just my 2 cents in it. But it's not cheap and it's gonna cost.
Any other questions? We don't do, make a motion to approve it? What do you want?
I think we should present it to the full council anyway. Let everybody have a vote on it.
Yeah, well, we can do it that way. Do that way with the budget. Yes, have we explored the idea of matching the school medical plan?
No. We looked at all we looked at was not the year plan. We did kind of run some on a 75-25 just to see, what kind of, there was a little savings in that end, or a 70-30, but we did not, I know Gerald, me and you talked about that over more than once, of going to a different plan.
Yeah.
But no, we just basically backed it up to that if we went 75-25 instead of an 80-20, you'd be saving anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 on it as well. The first year, like I said, that's the big year, because you got to get the pool built up. Year 2, 3, it could come off. I can't guarantee that as well. But we feel like that we're going to lose some retirees off the bat. Those salaries may go away, could come in at a lower salary. I don't know. Longevity is another part of that as well. That could, some of that could drop off. But I know year 1 you got to get the pot built up.
So if we take out the 3% raise, or 5%, we're talking about 3, I think, right?
3.
We put a 3 in.
That's how much of a total number?
The 101 part was 80.
I'd say around, I'm just, roughing it in 2 is around, 75 or 80, it could say on that end, but. I could be off just a wiggle, because I actually figured in, it's, some of that part-time is hard to calculate, because part of that is based upon the EMS salary line, because it's and then also in other departments, the part-time, these 12 and 24-hour shifts are kind of hard to really get down to nitty-gritty,
So on real numbers, 10 pennies a year, how much is that?
Penny's about 50,
but less than 51.
51, 52.
God, $20,000 a year to maintain this.
And it won't ever back down.
I don't think you're not gonna be able to just say we're gonna back off a penny or 2 pennies or something. I don't see it
But we're
backing up unless you get this. Then, here's the thing, where your growth goes, as long as you can keep that fund balance in county general, that's what's gonna be your kicker is, because that's where all the money's gonna come into, because it's gonna come out of one account. In year 2, if the county general fund balance is staying at $1 million, you got some leverage, but if it drops, that's because it's gonna be figured in there as well.
So, and we're not, I guess, illegal is the word, technically, legally, not depending on that $250,000 donation, but that's what's coming out of your debt service.
It stays in debt service.
That's what we're kind
Contribution.
of using that contribution for.
Yeah, it stays in debt service, yeah. That's the reason I said, they can't, but I mean, really, it's kind of a wash, we're saying it, we're adjusting the tax levy And not saying we're taking the tax levy, moving is 250, we're adjusting the total tax levy, Bradley. That debt service is 17 now, it would go to 13, county general is 65 or 66, it'd go up those four, actually go up. Put those, the 10 in the county general, 6 new ones plus take the 4 out, you would adjust the overall tax levy.
6 cents.
So it would be, yeah, it'd be 6 cents in the bottom line.
This is something that's all in or none, right?
That's the way I understood it. Gerald, I believe you were you there when they said all or none? Or was
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, 520,000 a year.
What,
No.
10 years?
Well,
10 years, your amortization, it's just like buying a car. It goes away.
the reason it's 10 years is we're making up for all the years that
They
they
didn't
should have
have.
been in it and they weren't. So we gotta go back to make up for what the pension would have built up over all those years. We gotta have a one-time catch up. And what we're doing is we're amortizing that expense over 10 years. Instead of paying it all up front, we're
Yeah.
spreading it out over 10 years. Now, at the end of 10 years, I don't know what, I guess we, depend on the staff we have in place and how many years they have. I mean, it could go down.
Yeah.
It should go down after 10 years. But
You don't have to maintain the 520 in 10 years, what you're asking.
At a minimum.
Supposedly.
At a minimum.
We don't know what's going to happen. It's possible.
What?
It's possible we won't have to.
It's possible, but I would leave the 520 in my mind and hope for
20 years.
Plus.
It'll be 80 years.
You can make harvester as a council.
Yeah, that's right.
it's a big deal. And I like I said, July 1st or March 1st, not June 3rd, but I mean,
I meant to
we've
do
chased this rabbit, so I mean,
To do this, though, we'd have to have another first reading, I think. And that's what the guy told us the other day, that was, you have to redo the budget. Because you're asking for another 6 cents to be added to cover an expense that wasn't part of the original budget. I think, I've done this before, but that's what I think we have to go back. We have to redo it.
Not start from scratch. You can't just put this as something else.
I don't know. I didn't know the guy that you had in the.
what you would, I agree. I think that's what you would have to do is come back and say, this is reading number 1, and here's what you're moving this, you're going to a new tax levy. Then that would be first reading, and you'd have to have a second reading with it, just like you are right now. Because if you was going backward, it would be different, but if you're going up, you're changing the overall tax levy.
So overall, employee-wise, they're all for it, correct?
I would assume, I can't say that.
This is probably a dumb question, but how many employees we employ live in the county that pay county taxes that this will affect? I mean, overall, I don't know what that number would be.
I mean, that live in this county?
Yeah, that pay taxes, that work for the county, I mean, what would our numbers, you know, yours, Jason, Valley, I have any idea, just a rough figure,
I'm probably 70%.
7%?
Yeah, I would say 60 to 70. Yeah, 50 to 60%. Ours is lower than it used to be.
So are you gonna have some people retire just as soon as this goes in place?
I think I'll have at least 2 go.
You?
One for sure. And then for the next 5 years, give one.
You probably have some too, out of there.
Well, I don't have a 2, but yeah, she would be ready to go in 5, yeah.
Yeah, so,
It's a big undertaking. I mean, I don't deny it or whatever, but,
y'all got more questions you wanna bring up? You want, did you make a motion, John, to approve it?
Yeah, what does the motion do? Are we gonna go back to and read through the whole presentation, or should we do it separately? I don't know how you,
well, I've got,
I don't know the best way to do
I
that.
don't know, I've got packets sent out with the new.
You just seen it?
No,
I really think we probably should be past that budget, but I don't know, how do you amend that?
I had to call that tomorrow. And see. What did that
When
start?
we have to have this, it's going effective January.
Every time and everywhere.
It's just, it's time and terrible.
Every time.
I mean, I guess you'll need to see how, I know you can't, we gotta make a motion tonight
Bring it to the
to
council.
bring it to the council.
It's now or next year, I mean, really, right? Yeah.
Can you bring, alright, so when we open the, to, make the motion to present the budget, the second reading. That motion is made and seconded, can you amend that motion to add this to it?
It takes you back to the first reading.
I think so, I think because you, it's changing the tax
Yeah.
rate.
I think.
Cause you already.
Not just a little bit either.
Right,
Yeah.
no, I understand that, I'm not.
Yeah,
Because going backwards, you could, but,
probably could go down, but I
yeah,
can't see us.
and I would have to
So we
make that
couldn't
call.
even just go ahead and keep the existing second reading, okay, and then come back to this, it's so much that it would be, mess up our budget.
That was, I won't make that statement till tonight, till tomorrow.
I mean, but that's a lot of that.
Because the comptroller is gonna ask to see this budget, but I don't know about amending it. I'd have to make that call tomorrow to find out how. If you pass this, then amended it with your new tax levy.
But if you approve that budget on the second reading, you can't go backwards and add a new budget after that's already been
That's
approved
what,
the second time.
that's what I'm thinking.
Do a special call meeting. One next week or two later.
Yeah, you got the 23rd, 30th.
Could we do a motion pending your phone call tomorrow to see?
I like it, John.
I don't know if that's good enough.
I mean, it's evident that it needs to be brought to the council.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with
It's
it.
not a decision that us for, I mean, so I said the same thing with budget.
Yeah.
I'll say it again.
That's the council.
I think the council, I mean, that's what we're elected to do.
I think maybe the motion is to bring it to the council for consideration. And I don't know that that means that the 4 of us are approving it, but maybe the motion, and
I mean,
this is uncharted territory for me, so but I think make the motion to present it to the council and see what it says.
I mean,
What is that?
technicality, even though we vote yes on it, it's gonna pass. I mean, it just, we approve from our board to send this to the council.
But hypothetically, say,
Even
They
if you,
agree.
if you vote, all 4 voted no, it can still go to the council next Monday night.
Right. And this will be,
That's what I'm with you though, for saying, if it does go,
Then you start
We
back
still
up with
got a
other.
second reading to do.
But we'll just cross it when we get there, yeah.
What we do, that
I
night.
make a motion, we present it to the council as is, and, present the numbers to the council with the 1 million and the 1.5 million.
It's in the package.
It's in the package, okay, and the 4 cents coming from debt service, and the 6 cents being added to the tax levy.
We presented it, but that was second reading.
We'll find out after a phone call. That's the only
We
thing
got a
I
second reading on our reading, but
They know what
they
time.
say.
We may have to go back,
Maybe what you
I
mean.
thought you heard it.
yeah, second reading.
I gotta go. I gotta go.
We can have a special call meeting if we had to, unexpected.
I gotta go.
We be able to read.
Heard it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about 14 o'clock.
Yeah. Probably better see it.
Okay, I can see when I can get a hold of them, just quickly find out.
Shit, I don't know more, you know.
I know Donnie, Daniel's covered his slabs.
All right,
I think his hands will be full of that.
so the motion was to present the TCRS information to the council. And that's it for consideration.
For consideration, yeah. I don't know how to word it, 'cause we don't know what to do. I mean,
Yeah.
do you know, I mean, I'm not good with words.
No, I think, do I have a second?
I'll second it. But yeah, maybe.
All in favor? Good, Mark? Okay.
Is it gonna be on the agenda before the second reading? Be on the agenda before the second reading?
It'll come up with the second reading, I feel like that's where it'll have to be introduced to. Because it says on, budget reading second, or fiscal year 25-26 budget reading. But it is not on, this is in the packet, but is it not on the agenda?
I mean, according to the original budget, we're asking for 2 more pennies. We're cutting 4 pennies off the original budget.
No, you're talking about,
What we presented, the first
26 cents.
the very original.
Yeah, I think it was 26 cents first, and we dropped it to 20.
22.
Well, actually, when he come in, it was, when he met with y'all on one number, he found that error on his, fund, rolling his fund balance over, and that cut it. Then y'all, it was to 22, I believe. Then the other night, y'all said take the $200,000
So then-
out of it to drop it to 18, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
know
Okay.
it's not, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a-
right, that's right.
It may be,
So we'll be back at 24, instead, we thought we were originally going at 26 with the school. This is, we're back at 24.
25.
Sorry.
All right.
I mean, I know this doesn't make a vote one way or the other, it's taxpayers' money and council decision, I'm just asking a question for it. And I know this big dead horse. Around us, how many counties around us offer this retirement besides us? Who, what do we,
I think Coffee County dropped it, the best I remember. I don't know why they dropped, I don't have no idea. Yeah. There's only a limited number of counties that don't offer it in the state.
and if we would have voted in the sales tax, how much revenue was that gonna bring in? An extra 2 pennies?
County general would probably been 75 or 80,000. It's a lot.
So it's gonna be.
About a couple hundred, there's a couple hundred thousand.
Yeah, I'd say total between everywhere.
So that's what we're banging our head against. A little tourism, but.
And I even went back and revisited to see if y'all could do that, and they say we can't. I even tried
Metro.
to find something. But I didn't get any more of it either.
All right. Anything else on that one?
Well, back to,
If we,
if you voted, if the council decided to vote and add it beforehand, can you read it? Can you even do that?
That's what I'll have to answer tomorrow, whether,
Well, we'll know before Monday.
yeah, I can, before I can find out
So,
what's going.
I guess
a
a sales pitch is to do, no,
Their
direction. Back to the sales tax. I mean, everybody said, well, if we had it again, we voted again, we'll do this. This is what they pretty much couldn't fund it. And this would have funded this for us and would have been paid for by tourism when our county has been built. So, yeah, that's what people voted no to.
That'd be March.
I don't know that it'll ever pass, but I think that this is a good way to say, hey, this is, everybody on the internet says, well, nobody explains it, nobody explains it.
I disagree with that, because half of them was only voting no, was sitting in Tullahoma in 3 days paying $9.75.
But I'm just saying, this is,
Yep. All right, so we'll present it. We're gonna figure out what steps, how we can or not, how to do it, and then, I don't know, do we need to try to get back, I don't think we have time to get back together before.
Unless I find out something really worthwhile tomorrow, like a Thursday or something. Or Saturday morning, or, I don't
Yeah,
know.
we can figure out another time to get together. All right, any other items?
Mm-mm.
Nobody? All right, make a motion to end it.
make a motion to recess.
Yeah, recess.
Make a motion to recess.
Recess. John, Bradley. All right, thank you.
Got